A special second episode this week. We sit down with friend of the program, Josh Bryan, who you can find on Instagram at Josh Bryan Golfs and at AvalonJourneys.com. Josh had one of the best weeks of anyone a couple weeks ago. He was out in California playing golf at, I guess, the ideal California golf courses: San Francisco Golf Club, Cal Club, Cypress Point. We have a great discussion with him about the week that was. Enjoy.
Get dressed, you're playing golf today.
No, I'm not, Grandpa. I'm playing tennis.
You're playing golf and you're going to like it.
What about my asthma?
I'll give you asthma.
What's up? Josh Bryan in the building. Welcome to the podcast.
What's going on, Josh?
Long-time listener, first
How's
time
it
caller.
going?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks. I'm glad to be here. This is a cool thing you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we got just a little introduction. I'm Ben. Nice to finally, I guess, meet you through this 2020 way of meeting. At some point, our caddy man, our Corn Ferry Tour caddy, Ben Edwards, will hop in. He's out at Victoria National right now getting food, but he's somewhere around. But it's nice to have you, man. I guess our first question is for you. We saw you were headed out to San Francisco, and I was like, oh, is he somehow going to get on the course at the PGA, but you instead were playing some golf? Tell us about your trip and each little stop you hit in California on your little West Coast swing.
Yeah. No, I realized like mid-July, I was like, wait, we're going to be there PGA week, which is funny because obviously no fans, but it was cool. I think we saw Harding Park flying in, still not confirmed, but I might have seen it. But yeah, I guess probably should start by saying last summer I had a cool opportunity, drove across the country and caddied at Cypress Point for 4 months. I had like a small finance internship lined up in Raleigh, where I'm from, and ended up bailing on that and going to Cypress, which I will tell you was a good decision. It was really cool because the U.S. Open was at Pebble, so they were actually busy for a month, and like 5 guys from Cypress own Pebble, so that kind of worked out well, and that was a super fun week to be there. But had a great summer, made a lot of really good friends, connections, a lot of cool memories, and then ended up going back for AT&T Prime Week this year to caddy. I got to carry for Jimmy Dunn and Phil's group that week, which was pretty cool. Jimmy's kind of a amateur golf legend, so that was one of the highlights of my time caddying there. But ended up kind of planning this quick trip around an invite to Cypress to come back. Like I said, made some good friends and connections there, and some people were really generous with me last summer. And kind of early in the year before the COVID stuff, I had August 10th set. And it ended up being funny because my school got moved up a week. I was supposed to start the 19th. Ended up first day of classes August 10th. So I'm on the first tee at Cypress when I should be in class for the first time. So that was pretty funny as well. And that was a nice first day of classes, which now obviously we have no in-person class after 2 weeks. That ended quickly. But yeah, long story short, planning this trip out west around Cypress, I wanted to get my dad back out there. I played with him at Cypress a few years ago, and that was kind of the inspiration for me going out there last summer. But yeah, I flew into San Francisco Saturday afternoon. I texted a buddy of mine who plays at Cal Club the day before because I realized we were going to have a few hours in San Francisco before we needed to drive down to Santa Cruz. And he set us up, Cal Club, top 5 in the world, in my opinion, or from the ones that I've played. It's an incredible place, one of the best hangs in golf. And if you catch a good golden hour there, it's like, it's almost otherworldly. Keith Foster, I might Kyle Phillips. Sorry, Kyle Phillips did a incredible restoration there about 10 years ago. There's a great podcast on the Fried Egg about kind of that restoration and the history of the club if you guys are into that kind of stuff. But worked out pretty incredibly well. We had a tight connection, so was glad to actually make it there. But the San Francisco airport's right beside Cal Club, literally like 2 minutes away. So off the plane at 4:15 on the first tee at 4:45 and barely squeezed in 18. Unfortunately, the bar is closed there. That's like one of the best things about Cal Club. They've got a really cool setup where they have it's an all men's club, or I think they actually have a ladies play on Tuesday mornings just so they can get away with that. But they've got the locker room set up. It's either north, south, or east, west. But they when you get in the club, you get put on one side or the other across the bar, and they have like Ryder Cup matches throughout the year across the locker room. And they're not like matches in the bar. They're like obviously on the golf course. But I think it's a really really cool club. It's a lot different. I got to play San Francisco Golf Club again later in the trip, and just the whole vibe when you pull up to San Francisco, you're worried about doing something wrong the whole time. And at Cal Club, like guys are wanting you to take shots with them when you walk into the men's locker room, and it's a much different vibe and something that I am a little bit more on board with, especially being 21. My 21st birthday was in January, and 2 months later the bars shut down. So that was
That's tough.
That's a tough break right there.
That's tough.
Not a great start to 21, but hopefully we'll get things going again in a few months. But started that out really last minute round at Cal Club. Like I said, one of my favorite places, and we stayed at the inn at Paso Tiempo, which is about an hour south of.
Sucks, right? That's like it's not good.
It's actually a little sketchy. The guys we were staying with, since I set everything up, were like questioning, like, Josh, are we going to get robbed tonight? Like, it was surprisingly kind of sketchy. It was like you're parking outside your room, but it obviously ended up being fine. I don't think Santa Cruz is a very sketchy area. But Paso Tiempo the next morning, also one of my favorite golf courses. We honestly fit in. We were just going to play Cal Club, Paso, and Cypress, but ended up squeezing in San Francisco as well. But those first three that I mentioned, probably my favorite three in California. I'm a huge Alistair McKenzie fan, and Paso being public is a kind of I'd say a must play if you go out to the West Coast. They do some good rates afternoons on weekdays, and also being a caddy, I got to know the head pro a little bit, and he was really generous about caddies coming out to play and giving us good rates. So shout out to Ken. But yeah, Paso is like 6,500 from the tips. It's about the same as Cypress. Alistair McKenzie's house is on the, might need to think about this for a second. Third, fourth, I think sixth hole. Yeah, par 5 on the left side. They've got a little plaque there commemorating him. And that's where he ended up living for most of his time in the U.S. So that's kind of a cool place in that regard. But really short, quirky golf course. I think it's a blast. Some of the craziest greens you'll ever see. The back nine gets really good. The bunkering, especially like on all McKenzie's courses, Cypress, Cal Club, he did most of the bunkering there, and then Paso also, the bunkering is just really cool. It's got like the kind of furry top edges, kind of looks like eyebrows, but it's not super. They're not super like clean cut, which I kind of like, gives it some character. And I think I think greens, like, a course is only as good as its greens, in all honesty, and all of his courses have really, really great greens. But yeah, I would highly recommend Pasatiempo. It's not going to blow you away quite as much as Cal Club, but being public and that it's literally 70 degrees there every day of the year, it's pretty awesome spot. And that whole day worked out really well. So we teed off at like 10:30, drove down. There's a local seafood place that I'm going to put you guys on. It's called Phil's at Moss Landing. And this place is not what you would expect for me to be giving you a recommendation for. It's like a dive seafood place. But if you look on Yelp, Yelp, they've got like 5,000 reviews. And it's like a 5-star, but it's like the best seafood I've ever had, some of the best. And I went there every time after I had a good loop last summer. I'd drive up to Phil's. It's like 30 minutes north of like the Monterey area, and like perfectly in between Santa Cruz and Monterey. But got a like late lunch, early dinner at Phil's, and then drove down to our hotel and watched the end of the PGA, which was an awesome ending. Colin Morikawa was a stud. But we stayed at this place called Quail Lodge that's like kind of more towards the Carmel Valley. And it's a really nice spot. They've got like a fun pitch and putt course interwoven between the rooms. So we played out there that night. And then early morning the next day at Cypress, I was honestly super impressed. I mean, Cypress could be the kind of place that's super pretentious and like I don't know, honestly, like a San Francisco golf club, where you're just kind of worried about doing something wrong. And especially coming back after being a caddy, I felt very welcomed and everybody there. I mean, I think I did a good job last summer, and obviously I made a lot of good friends and didn't do anything wrong in a sense. So I think that helped, but I was just really, I was a little bit nervous about going back after caddying and now playing as a guest. But the assistant pro Riley was in the shop, and a couple guys that I knew from the men's locker room were there. They had a really minimal staff right now, because they don't get hardly any play and they don't need a lot of people to work there, especially right now. But it was obviously awesome to be back. We had kind of a moody weather day. The sun might have peeked out a little bit, but it was typical kind of little fog early on in the day, and then kind of mists on you for a little bit, and then cleared up probably right when we needed it to, like around 10 or 11. But I think it's worth talking a little bit about, like, Cypress has like 3 kind of sets of holes. You go out, your first hole is kind of benign, just it's a nice welcoming first hole, and then you kind of go back into the trees a little bit for the first 6, and I think it's pretty. I think a lot of times those holes get kind of overlooked, and everybody compares Cypress to Pine Valley, which obviously a lot of people do just because they're 1 and 2 typically thought to be ranked. But I think a lot of the first kind of 10 to 11 holes get knocked at Cypress just because, I mean, they're not going to like blow you away. But if I tried to read a lot, and there's a really cool book in the Cypress Golf Shop called Alistair McKenzie's Cypress Point Club that Jeff Shackelford wrote, that shows kind of the course in its early stages. And I've read a few Alistair McKenzie books, and if you can really understand what he was trying to accomplish and kind of the way that the course is routed and each of the holes and the variety with ways you can play the holes, and the way he uses camouflage, it's just an incredible golf course. And I love that there's 4 par 5s in the first 10 holes. It's something you don't really get much, maybe anywhere. But you really can get it going out there early. I think one time last summer I was like maybe 6 or 7 under through the first 10, and ended up shooting something a couple under. But if you're hitting it good, you can go out there and take it deep on the first 9-10 holes, but then you kind of go back out after you get out of the trees out onto the dunes for like holes 7 through 13, 14, and then you go out into the water for the end. So I think it's really cool how, I mean, obviously Pine Valley, every hole there is amazing, but it's all the same, just kind of back and forth in the trees. You don't get a lot of open views of the whole course, of the whole property. And at Cypress, you get a really big variety, plus obviously on the ocean for the end, which it's pretty hard to beat. But yeah, it was also cool. I was there with my dad and 2 of our best family friends who've been really great to me over the years. So that was cool to be able to bring them out there. And I got to request my best friend, my buddy Anton, who caddies out there still. So, I mean, it was like the perfect day. I think I made 6 birdies and shot like 73 or 74.
Tough.
I'd take it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can definitely make birdies out there, but a lot of holes are seemingly short and easy, but they're designed in a way that if you hit it in the wrong spot, you're going to make a double. So I probably had 2 or 3 doubles. But yeah, I mean, once you get out on the water there, it's like you're kind of in another world. It doesn't really look real. There's a cool little plaque on the 17th hole. Actually, might as well read you what it says. And some of you guys might have seen this, but hold on, just give me 1 sec. It says, "Gentlemen, I suggest that we pause for a moment and admire the beautiful view, count our blessings. Very few of us are privileged to pass this way." And I think that's a pretty telling and accurate statement for kind of the round at Cypress. It's just an amazing place, and it's made even better by the people who work there, and the members are, I got to know a lot of them last summer, are really, really amazing people who don't take what they have out there for granted and enjoy it every time as much as the last playing there. So yeah, pretty fantastic morning. I think we went back. I hit the pro shop pretty hard. I had some orders for buddies. So I hit the pro shop pretty hard. You got to do it out there. It's like a closet. It's like about the size of my room that I'm in right now. It's like
Really?
probably like 10 by 15 or something. It's tiny.
Wow.
But they definitely pack it in there. So did not come out empty-handed. And then we went and had lunch at Pebble at like the bench outside. We were really thinking about doing Pebble in the afternoon, which would have been cool just to say we did it, but I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much because it's already a super early morning. You got to tee off at like 7:30 unaccompanied at Cypress. And Pebble would have been a 5.5 hour round in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So we went over to Pacific Grove, the Muni.
Now that's you go from the most exclusive club in the world to a course that's called Poor Man's Pebble.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned to my dad, I was like, we're playing the best of the best and the best of the worst today. If any of you guys have seen pictures of Pacific Grove, the front 9 is about the worst 9 holes ever built.
It's like this big.
Yeah. It's squeezed into, it shouldn't be there. It should be about 3 or 4 holes probably total on the front 9. But then getting on the back 9, it's like some of the most expensive real estate on the peninsula that they have amazingly kept as the golf course. That doesn't get a lot of, that doesn't get a lot of TLC or attention, but it's just really pretty and it's just really fun. There's some drivable par 4s, some reachable par 5s. It's not the best golf course in the world, obviously, but it's honestly, I thought it was a perfect complement to the morning, and it's $33 in the afternoon. So
it goes hand in hand with Cypress.
The perfect compliment.
I love it.
Gotta bring
Like
yourself down
filet
there.
mignon, then chicken tenders and fries.
I love that analogy, Scalf. It's good.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, honestly, because I do like some chicken tenders.
Yes.
Who doesn't?
Good at the right time, man.
Exactly.
I just had some at a burger bar like 5 minutes ago. So
If you don't mind, I feel like we could sit here for like 7 hours and probably have 1,000 stories about different courses. But off the top of your head, we're going to throw you some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Okay. So the best course of that trip was
Cypress. Yeah.
best course you've ever played is
Probably Cypress. Yeah.
all right. Okay. Best loop you ever had at Cypress was for who?
That's a good question. I caddied for Charles Koch, one of the Koch brothers.
Oh gosh.
And
That's cool.
it was large. I'm not going to tell you how much it was, but it was large.
I got a question. Best locker room you've been in?
Ooh.
It's a good one. I love cow clubs. Gosh darn it. Just getting blown up over here.
No
Probably.
worries.
It's a good question. I mean, Pine Valleys is really cool. It's like metal lockers, which is I mean not really what you would expect.
Oh.
Let me think. Where else?
I've heard Oakmont. Have you been to Oakmont?
I haven't been to Oakmont.
I've heard their showers. I've heard rumors about their showers. I don't know if anyone else has heard that.
No.
I think that the whole kind of shower competition's a fun one. It adds some competition between clubs, but
It's a thing.
I think
Aaron Hills was elite.
I think the
Aaron
best
Hills was
shower
elite.
I've had is probably at San Francisco Golf Club. Their locker room's actually really cool as well. It's like a kind of a time warp. They have like space heaters and a fireplace, and you sign like a guest book, and it's super understated. And probably I'd say Pine Valley, favorite locker room.
We've got a buddy who's playing San Francisco Golf Club like right now, like as we speak, and then I think he's going to Cal Club and playing on Saturday. It's going to be a completely different story for him, basically.
Yes. San Francisco Golf Club it's a really good course. A lot of really good holes out there. I feel like it definitely kind of blurs together a little bit more in terms of the holes. So Cal Club in that regard, I mean, every hole out there is really memorable, and just kind of the whole vibe is a little bit more laid back and welcoming, I'd say. But like a lot of the people I've talked to would say, like, if you can join one of them, you're going to join San Francisco just because of the club that it is and the history and kind of everything that comes with it. So that's one thing I've heard.
Kieran, you got a question?
Yeah. So we got a buddies trip that we do every year, and unfortunately we got canceled this year. But if you could pick one place in the U.S. for a buddies golf trip, where would it be?
That's a good question. And it's got to be Bandon Dunes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have gone there before, but I actually got to go earlier this summer. My dad is in the golf travel industry, so that's kind of how I got into traveling and playing. But you can't really anywhere else in the world, especially now they have a sheep ranch too. It's like 5 top 100 courses just thrown on top of each other, and they're all really different and unique. I think it's like asking for like a bachelor's trip, like 12 guys, like you're playing Ryder Cup matches. That they've got like 2 or 3 great restaurants. The pub there. You can stay in like a big cottage or just like a normal in normal hotel rooms. And I think honestly, a lot of people will talk about how it's so hard to get to, but I think that's kind of what makes a place special as well. Because if you have to really try to get there, then they're going to try to make it worth it for you. And Bandon in particular, I feel like does that really well. Trying to think second on the list. Oh no. Yeah, I mean, Bandon's definitely my number one for a buddy's trip. I think Pinehurst honestly is really great too. I live about 45 minutes from there. So I went down there a bunch during March and April when everything else was shut down, which was nice. But like all the courses down there are public, which in terms of doing like a big group trip makes it really nice.
That'd be perfect.
Mid Pines and Pine Needles probably the most underrated 36-hole, one of the most underrated 36-hole days maybe in the world, honestly.
Wow.
I'm going to throw that out there. I love Mid Pines in particular. Super short, classic Donald Ross, awesome course. And Pinehurst also, I feel like it's kind of like a Monterey or Carmel, just not on the water. Like everybody comes there just to play golf. I don't know. I mean, Carmel, a lot of wealthy people vacation there just because it's so nice. But I feel like a lot of people come there, and like Pebble Beach, you're going there to play golf. And so everybody's just all about the golf. Everybody's in a great mood. They're excited to be there. So I'd also recommend Pinehurst. And if you guys need any other recommendations for trips, happy to help.
Oh, I'm sure we'll reach out for that.
best course best course you've played that we or the general golf public has not heard of?
That's another good question. A lot of people haven't heard of Mid Pines. That'd be up there for me. There's a course in Dayton, Ohio called Moraine that I got to play earlier this spring. One of my buddies is a member there and would be happy to host you guys anytime. But shout out to Kevin. I got to give him a shout out. But it got redone by Keith Foster like about 5 years as well. And people are starting to hear about it, but they just pretty much took out just gazillion trees and opened it back up to the way it was kind of intended to be. Lots of kind of rolling terrain and some really good vistas and just awesome golf course. Tips out of like 74, but you can play at like 65 too. So I'd say Moraine is up there. I'm trying to think. I have a list.
Well, you pull that up. I got 2 more questions for you, and we'll let you off the hook.
Okay.
This one's probably easier. Best golf state.
Yeah.
Golf
Connecticut.
state.
Come on.
Connecticut.
It's got to be New York. I haven't played enough golf up there, but it's got to be New York with Illinois, Chicago, and California being close second and third.
Georgia golf or Florida golf?
Florida golf. I don't know if I've even played golf in the state of Georgia. I really want to. I'd like to play Augusta, I guess.
I guess.
But probably. I'm trying to think. Are you from Georgia?
Yeah, that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, he's an Atlanta kid.
I'm the only Georgia boy here.
Yeah, I really need to get to Atlanta. Honestly, I'd love to. I know Peachtree, and then you guys got, I think Ahoopi's in Georgia, right?
Yes,
Yep.
I think it's more south, but of Atlanta, yeah. And then trying to think, what was best course that you're itching to play that you haven't yet that you're trying to get to?
I really want to play Chicago Golf Club.
Yes.
I think they're actually redoing their bunkers right now, which one of my friends was saying, like, don't know how that place could get any better, but I've mentioned I really like to read about kind of golf course history and architecture, and C.B. McDonald, who was like the founder of golf course architecture and golf in America, and that was one of his first courses. And I'm just kind of fascinated by like what someone who had very little machinery could do with a golf course on a completely flat piece of property. So I'm definitely want to see Chicago Golf Club really badly. I think and then probably second would be Crystal Downs in Michigan. It's a Perry Maxwell, Alistair McKenzie combo, and those might be my 2 favorite architects. So plus Northern Michigan in the summer, hope to get there in the summer's perfect time to be up there. I will say, you guys might have heard of it, but thinking about that last question, I think Old Town in Winston-Salem. Some of you guys probably haven't heard of it.
I have not.
We talked about it the other week on the pod.
Oh, did we? Kieran, that was your course of the week. Yes, that's right.
Absolutely.
it's amazing. It's like you would not expect it. One of the best reveals in golf, like you walk over the fourth hole, the first three are like pretty they're decent holes, but you walk over the fourth hole and you can see like the rest of the golf course below you. And I think Corin Crenshaw did a restoration there. But yeah, if you haven't heard of Old Town, got to play it. Also have a buddy there who would be happy to host you guys if you ever get up to this area.
All right,
Is
Josh.
that the conjoining? Sorry, is that the conjoining fairways where there's like 3 or 4 holes that run together?
Yeah, you.
That's it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
They've got a double green.
Yeah. Okay.
And then also have a few holes with fairways kind of running beside each other. So
Sweet.
Who you got this week in the BMW Championship?
BMW. I mean, I don't know if DJ. I mean, that was just ridiculous last week. I also
Absurd.
my dad just texted me. Phil
was
shot
golf.
61 in the Champions Tour event today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is
Bogey to par 5.
pretty funny.
It's Phil like.
Nuts.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I'd say DJ or I don't know, maybe Colin or JT. I feel like they've been playing good.
Can't go wrong there. Our meeting time is about to run out, so it'll automatically kick us out. But where can we can find you on Instagram? Obviously at Josh Bryan's Golf, I want to say, and then Avalon Journeys. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so got involved with Avalon. It's a really small golf travel company that my dad started. Probably, I think actually 2008, right around when the crash happened. But he does a lot of trips to Scotland and Ireland in the summer, a lot of masters groups, and then kind of corporate outings, small buddies trips to courses in the U.S. Pretty much covers it all, and a lot of kind of long-term clients that turn into friends. So he's got a really good business model. Tough year for it this year, but I have kind of taken over as designing trip templates. So I do a lot of reading and listening to podcasts and obviously trying to play a lot. And then I'll find courses that like Moraine or Old Town or Mid Pines and try to add value in that way, because a lot of people obviously hear about number 2 and they want to go to Pinehurst Flat. But if you can throw in a sleeper that they might like even more than the one they've heard of, then you're able to add a lot more value. So I kind of design trip templates in that regard. And then through my Instagram, which kind of started out just posting pictures, but now it's turned into something kind of cool. I don't know. I've met a lot of great people through it. Like Ben and everybody else. I've probably played 20 to 30 rounds of golf over the last year with random people through Instagram and at a lot of really great golf courses too. So it's been a great kind of platform and a fun thing for me to meet people and get to travel a little bit. I mean, I've stayed on people's couches that I've never even talked to, just from Instagram messages, and they'll have me out to their club. And it definitely helps being young, but at the same time, I think the whole golf community, and especially on Instagram, is really cool. And people want you to see their golf courses. They want you to meet other people and introduce you to their buddies. And it's just kind of it's a cycle that I think is great. And I've really enjoyed being a part of. So I'd love to tee it up with you guys at some point, and hope we can make that happen.
For sure.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks for
I'll
coming
be
on with
there.
us, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks guys. And look forward to being in touch.